Welcome back to the channel. I'm back home after my 12th trip to Vegas, and I couldn't wait to make this video. I love to get in front of the whiteboard and teach you about Vegas. In this video, I'm going to compare the two hotels I stayed at, Mirage and Planet Hollywood. I'm going to go into detail so you can learn where you might want to stay on your next trip to Vegas. So let's see how these two compare. And it's going to be a great video because they are neck and neck. Let me tell you. So let's get into it. So to help us determine which of these two hotels was the best on this trip, I have come up with 10 factors that I judge them on. And each one has to win a category. On my first edition of this series, I did give a couple ties out, but I've determined that you got to pick one or the other. So we will see that going forward. So the 10 factors are location, room, Wi-Fi, vibe, drink service, casino, food options, features of the hotel, check-in and check-out, and then just the overall service. I think these 10 factors, go into making your vacation what it is. So I'm going to compare the Mirage versus Planet Hollywood on these 10 factors to determine which was best on this trip. In the end, I will give my summary on my thoughts of each one and where I might stay in the future, and I'll also tell the price of each hotel. So let's get into this. All right, so if you're new to the channel, first welcome. But when I plan my trips to Vegas, location on the Strip is very important to me. Now I do think it is waning in importance, but how I compare these is I always start off with location. So let's see who has the best location. And to help with that, I drew a map again. Again, it's not to scale, but I think it's going to help show you or teach you where these two properties are on the map and how it relates to the Strip itself. Let's start off with Mirage. My first two nights were at Mirage. So Mirage is on the north side of the Strip, and it is an MGM property. Okay, so when you are staying at MGM properties and trying to maximize your comps, you want to stay at those MGM properties while you're there, and that helps maximize your comps. But anyway, you'll notice that Mirage is pretty far north, and then the only other MGM property is Bellagio that's semi-close. So I found that was an issue for me there. I only played at Mirage and Bellagio while I stayed there. So I thought that was kind of a negative on the Mirage location, just as far as being an M-Life member. Now the positives of Mirage that I found out is that being north, you are closer to places that I usually don't go, like Venetian, Palazzo, the Wynn, TI. And now that they've built Resort World, I really think that north end of the Strip is going to do really well. So I think the Mirage location is going to benefit from that. So I really had a hard time determining which of these two had the best location. Now let's talk about Planet Hollywood. It is a Caesars property. So it is on the south side of the Strip, and it is very centrally located, which center Strip to me is Bellagio's water fountain. So it's right in the center of the Strip, right across from Cosmo, which, it's a great property. Everybody wants to go to it. It's right across from the water fountains. And then for as far as Caesars properties are concerned, it is the most southern Caesars property, but while you're staying here, you can easily walk to multiple. And once you start to walk, you're just walking right and you're in Vegas, you're having fun, and it doesn't seem like it's any issue to get to any Caesars property. So that weighed in Planet Hollywood's favor. So again, I'll just mark these here. Mirage here is M-Life, so we got an M. And then we have an M-Life here for Bellagio. All the other M-Life, starting with Aria, is right here behind Cosmo, kind of a little further south. And then, it's basically all M-Life south of that, not on this map. And then Planet Hollywood, you start your C property, Caesars. You got, Caesars, 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 and Caesars. So you got a lot of Caesars options if you're a Caesar member, staying at Planet Hollywood. And if you're staying at Mirage and you're M Life, you're further walk from your casinos. But we'll get into the next slide where I show you who wins the location piece. But the Mirage being far north, I think that's going to help them a lot in the future. So let's start assigning some points to this. All right. So after the map, you can tell that for Mirage, I had to deduct some points for being far away from M Life properties. I didn't like having to walk that far just to really go to Bellagio only. And then if I wanted to go even further than that, it's even further away. So I had to deduct some points there. But I do believe the north end of the strip is growing. So I think in the future, that Mirage location might really be a great asset. So we got to keep that in mind. And I know for my trip this time, I utilized it, right? I went to Wynn 2 nights. And then I also went to Resort World. And then I also went to Peppermill. So there are positives for being on the north side. I've never stayed that far north, and so I took full advantage of it this trip. But it probably hurt on the comp offers because I did more gaming on those days, not at M Life property. And if you're wanting to earn comps, it's best to play at the hotels you stay. So I gave Mirage an 8. Now Planet Hollywood, this is the main category I wanted to give a tie, but I was like, you can't give a tie. It's not fair, So Planet Hollywood, I had to give it 9 points because it is center strip, and when you're talking Las Vegas Boulevard and you're picking a hotel, you just gotta stay center strip, right across from Bellagio, right across from Cosmopolitan. Right next door is Paris. I mean, 3 iconic properties with tons of stuff to do at them. So, and it's also close to your other Caesars properties. So, I had to give the nod for the best location currently to Planet Hollywood. Can't be much more center strip than that. So, Planet Hollywood gets the location win. Let's talk about the room and then Wi-Fi. Room is very important. You're going to spend a lot of time there. It's where you're going to clean up, prepare for the evenings. It's where you're going to wake up. You want it to be organized, spacious, clean, comfortable. So at the Mirage, my room was all that. I had a great room. Both rooms were standard kings. All these resorts have some fancy name for their rooms, but I got the standard king at both. So the Mirage, you could just tell though that it had been a while since it had been updated. It was very clean and very, no issues with the furniture there. Everything was in order, clean, and in working condition. You could just tell that it had been a while since it had had like a renovation. The bathroom was its downfall. The commode was actually center of it, and when you open the door, it almost hits the commode when no one's sitting on it. And if you were sitting on it, you couldn't close the door. So anyway, Mirage, I had to knock them some points just because of that. They also didn't have, I would say, as many pieces of furniture compared to Planet Hollywood. Making these videos, I like to have a side table and kind of move it around and use it to help make videos. But there they didn't have anything like that. They did have a little sofa type chair to sit in, but they didn't have a little side table for it. And I noticed that while I was out there, and I don't know, that might be important for you, might not be, but Mirage, I'm going to give them a 7. Now, Planet Hollywood on those same categories, while the Mirage furniture was in really good shape, even though it might be dated, I don't know, exactly how old it is, but at Planet Hollywood, I did run into the only knock on that room was some of the furniture. The side table that I mentioned is not available here. They had one at Planet Hollywood. You can move it around, but it was kind of a metal type of table, and the paint was chipping off of it, pretty bad. And then one of the drawers was stuck. I like to live out of my drawers. I don't like to go to my suitcase every time I need something. So that drawer being stuck was also a negative. But at the same time, they had a little dinette area, just a small table with two chairs. And they also had a sofa with a side table, along with your bed and two end tables. So the room, was better equipped than the Mirage for sure. And then the bathroom sets it way above. The bathroom at Planet Hollywood's a separate tub, separate shower, both big enough for multiple people. And I love taking a bath at Planet Hollywood. I would say it's among the biggest bathtubs there on the strip. So I have to give Planet Hollywood a 9. I can't give them a 10 because of the issues I mentioned, but I love Planet Hollywood's rooms. Now, continuing on to Wi-Fi, Mirage, I had issues connecting. I connected once, and maybe I left the property for too long or something, but I had to reconnect 2 or 3 times there. At Planet Hollywood, when I checked in, I logged in to the Wi-Fi, and then I never had to do it again. I would leave their property too, but I don't know. Something about that just made the Wi-Fi better, and so I am giving Mirage an 8 because I also had 1 day of slower downloading time, but that's probably just a lot of people were using it. But so I'm gonna give them an 8, and then Planet Hollywood, if you don't even notice that you're on or not on Wi-Fi, no issues at all, I have to give them a 10. So there is the room and the Wi-Fi. Let's keep going. All right, so why do we all go to Vegas, and why are you watching this video about Vegas? It's simply because of the vibe is out there is different than any other place in the world, right? The energy, the atmosphere, the fun times, the wonder of what's going to happen today. Like, you just never know. So the vibe is super important, and I thought both casinos had great vibe, but I had to give the nod to Mirage on this one. I'm gonna have to give Mirage 9 points, and Planet Hollywood 8. They were neck and neck. I loved both casinos. On my last review, I didn't even stay at Bally's Casino. I mean, didn't even play. But these, I just wanted to hang out in, right? The Mirage Casino, though, I think it has a lower ceiling. It seems like the restaurants around it, everyone's sitting at them and having a good time, and you can see multiple restaurants from inside the casino, and everyone's having a good time. And the music just seems like it's on point for Vegas. I don't know, really how to describe it, but you're just in a good mood and having a fun time, and that's what it's all about. So I love the Mirage vibe. Planet Hollywood, very similar, but it is just mostly casino. Everywhere you look is a casino. The restaurants are kind of tucked away, I guess, But anyway, I really like the Mirage vibe. So I gave Mirage 9, Planet Hollywood 8 there. Now, drink service for me, this is kind of like Wi-Fi, hit or miss. But, drink service is all about really the time on your machine, or time in the casino or a table or whatever. And I kind of jump around, don't spend too much time in a certain machine. But I got less drinks offered at Mirage than I did Planet Hollywood. Now, that's probably because I gamed more at Planet Hollywood than I did Mirage. But I know one morning at Planet Hollywood, she came by, and it was in the morning time, so I got coffee, and then, I had a few beers here and there at the end. But so I give a 9 here, and then a 7 to Mirage, only because Mirage, I really don't even know if I got a drink, to be honest with you. If you watch my vlog, I didn't do so hot in Mirage, and I don't recall getting a drink offered to me there, but I didn't spend too much time there either. But Planet Hollywood did good, and Mirage probably would have done better if I'd have played more. So I'm just realizing I started off the last one saying that we go to Vegas for the vibe. While that might be true, we really go there for the casino. So let's see which one had the better casino, and also food options. So anyway, at Mirage, I love the casino there. Now, I did not have a winning winning sessions down there, but their casino is lots of fun. Great atmosphere, like I said, in the vibe piece. But they got a lot of games, a lot of tables. The way it's spread out, it's easy to find everything. Um, you know, there's just a great casino. So on the casino piece, I'm gonna have to give them a thinking about this, I'm gonna give them an 8, right? I want to give them an 8, and then this is another one that I wanted to give them a tie, but because the Planet Hollywood Casino, I would say it's a more fun vibe here, but the vibe here is just the notch right below it, right? And I would say it's comparable machines, you know. Uh, Tables and all that, but they got like a party pit, and their heart bars right in the center, so that gives it a lot of atmosphere. And the thing that broke the tie is simply I won more at Planet Hollywood than I did at Mirage. So when you're judging a casino, which one you win at should get the most points. So I had to bump them to a 9. So Planet Hollywood gets a 9. And now food options. Now food options, that's the number one thing about Planet Hollywood is the number of food options. So, it's just safe to say we can skip to it. We'll give them a 10 because, not only do they have, several places inside the casino to go, they are attached to the Miracle Mile shops, which, does a circle around Planet Hollywood, and there's endless food options. And if that's not enough for you, go next door to Paris or across the street to Cosmo. Within, a 10-minute walk, you could eat for a year and never, go to the same restaurant, I bet. So anyway, Mirage had a bunch too. And a downfall of of Bellagio on my last review is they really don't have any low end options. At Mirage, you have everything. You've got high end, you have low end, and yeah, so they have a lot of options too. So Mirage has great options. So I'm gonna give Mirage a 9 on this one because you also have TI right next door to you. So bam, you got a lot of options at both, but you gotta pick a winner. So Planet Hollywood is your winner. So another category that sets these hotels apart are what features do these properties have at the property itself. Not what's around it, but what can entertain you at these resorts while you're staying there. So Mirage, I found, it's rather shockingly, I never stayed at Mirage before. I've always visited, right? It's a great resort, but it had just had tons of features. So I wanted to give it a 10, but I'm going to give it a 9, only because I gave Bellagio a 10, right? Because Bellagio has a lot of features. And the Bellagio has the water fountain show. And while Mirage does not have the water fountain show, they have the volcano show. So I was like, well, you got to give them a 10 for that. But then I was thinking, well, while the volcano show is great, it's not the Bellagio water fountains. It only runs 4 times a night, and it is the same show all 4 times. Each water fountain show is unique and individual and different every time, right? And it runs every 30 minutes all day long, like after 1 o'clock or something like that. I think it varies by weekday and weekend, but still, the Mirage has endless options of features. As soon as you walk in, you're hit with an awesome smell. No other casino has that. They have a beautiful atrium, a little river running through it. They have the secret garden and dolphin exhibit out back, Siegfried and Roy, dolphin exhibit. The volcano is a feature, right? But the lake that the volcano is at, it's a beautiful area to walk around. Very peaceful in the morning. I highly suggest if you're at the Mirage, you just walk around that lake in the morning. It's a great way to start your morning. Now, Planet Hollywood, it just doesn't have those features. It is more of just a normal hotel casino with a lot of fun things, in it, but no like specific features. The only feature really I could think of is attached to Miracle Mile shops. But I don't know if I would really consider that a feature of the hotel. It's more a good property management, having a hotel wrapped around or inside of a mall like that. So I have to give Planet Hollywood a 7. A lot more features at Mirage than Planet Hollywood. So the final two factors that go into making your stay on the Las Vegas Strip enjoyable is the check-in, in and out of the properties, and then the service you receive while at the properties. So checking in and out, both hotels have a little story. I don't want to make them too long. And then the service that I received during checking in and out, it all goes together in this trip. I kind of expect just good service no matter where you go. No matter if you're, high roller or low roller, the least you can get is good service, right? So that's where I'm kind of coming from in these little stories I'm about to say. So upon checking in, and they're kind of both bad, but how do they react to it, right? So it all goes hand in hand. Upon checking in the Mirage, and I checked in early, 11 o'clock. You're supposed to check in at 3, and the line was long at Mirage. So I knew there was going to be an issue. I didn't even ask for an upgrade. I always ask for an upgrade, but I didn't even do it this time. But that's fine. Get there, check in. They tell me my room's not ready, but we will text you when it comes available. Great. I checked my baggage with the bellhop, and I proceeded to go eat breakfast, thinking it'd be a while, right? It's only 11 and probably won't be till 3. But anyway, like while I was walking to go eat breakfast, they texted me my room was ready. So I turned around, checked in my room, got my baggage from the bellhop very easily, and started on my stay. And then checking out of Mirage was great. The line wasn't long. I checked out just fine, right? So I want to start every point how I judge these. I start with an 8, and do you earn more than 8, or do you lose points? But the room wasn't ready, and of all my trips to Vegas, I've never had issues checking in early. Now I try to go during the weeks, but anyway, so I'm gonna have to give them a 7 because it wasn't ready, but it was ready quick, and then yeah, so that's good. Now Planet Hollywood, same thing. Checked out of Mirage at 11, and the line, I was gonna taxi down there, but the taxi line was huge, and there was no taxis. They were waiting on taxis. I was like, well, dang, it's gonna be like 20 minutes before a taxi shows up, just for the next person maybe. Who knows? I'm like 10 or 11 in line, right? So I was like, I'm just gonna walk. So I walked down to Planet Hollywood, which is not the longest walk, but 11 o'clock in the sun, it was hot, dragging luggage. Get to Planet Hollywood, and there's like no line. So I'm like, ooh, that's good. But that's where kind of the story starts, is they don't have, their registration desk is nothing but kiosks. And then for your 7-star, which is the highest, category of player at Caesars, they have a single employee, standing over there, not doing anything. There's no one checking in. Well, I'm not a high roller, but I do want to talk to somebody. I don't want to do a kiosk. Me and the kiosk don't get along. So I walk over to the 7-star guy, and I'm like, hey, you don't have nobody over here. Can you check me in? He's like, are you a 7-star? I'm like, no. And he's like, you need to go do the kiosks. I'm like, all right. So I go over to the kiosk, and there is like a kiosk attendant. And that's what he told me. He said, you need to go speak to the kiosk attendant. He didn't even have a better title for this lady, right? But anyway, I went and talked to her, and I said, hey, I'm checking in. I'd rather not use these kiosks. And, she's like, well, sir, you got to use the kiosk. Well, anyway, I kind of talked to her. I said, well, I'm a Caesars reward, player. And yeah, I'm not a 7-star or platinum or whatever. I don't know. I'm like a second level up. And so anyway, I kind of talked her into, okay, you're not a fan of the kiosk. Come behind the counter. And she kind of walked behind the counter then and pulled up her computer, and she checked me in that way, right? And so she at least did check me in, but it didn't go well. And then when we checked out, I always talk to them, and they knock off the resort fee or something, right? When you're checking in and checking out, I always want to talk to people. So when you're checking out, you have the same issue. And at that time, the 7-star had a line. And so I checked that on the kiosk because I didn't want to deal with it, right? So Planet Hollywood, you're getting a 5 on that because they just don't want to deal with you, you know? So, I mean, that's just my experience, and maybe that's why the price of their rooms, as we'll find out, maybe that's why they're on the lower end is they don't provide the service that you expect, right? So that leads us into service. The Mirage, they had a full complement of checking in and checking out staff back there. They had their normal line, right? And then they had their, Noor and all their different levels, right? They had lines for all their, player levels. Here at Planet Hollywood, they didn't. And then I had a good experience when I checked my bags. I was kind of worried. I've never checked bags before while I leave my room. So I talked to them. They're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna keep them here, and tell me if you want them sent to your room, or tell them if you were gonna come get them. I told them I was gonna come get them. Couldn't be more friendly. And two, whenever I did get my bags and walk through the door, like they open the door for you, and yeah, so I got great service at Mirage. So service is a 9, and Planet Hollywood service, it just seemed to me like they didn't really want to provide service. They wanted you to provide the service for yourself. Check in this kiosk, check out the kiosk. We don't really want to bother with you. So at Planet Hollywood, I had to give them a 6 for their service. Only because of the checking in and checking out. All the people that you come to at both properties, in the restaurants, the staff on the floor, the housekeeping that you come in contact with, everybody out there was friendly, courteous, kind. So overall service was probably better than a 6, but your first impression of a place is upon checking in. That is where you should have your best service, not a kiosk. So if you want to deal with the kiosk, stay at Planet Hollywood. If you want to deal with people, stay at Mirage. All right, so now let's total up where these points get these resorts and see who wins. So the moment we've all been waiting for. What's the final score? Well, after my last video, some of you asked, why didn't you include the price of the hotel room in that video? So I'm listening to you. The cost of these rooms, I looked out there at what just now logged in. Third week in November, and Mirage is averaging $79 a night. Planet Hollywood is averaging $64 a night, and each of them have a $39 resort fee, each of them. So that's good. So Planet Hollywood is $15 a night cheaper. So a little bit cheaper at Planet Hollywood versus Mirage. Now, I myself had all these rooms comped, standard rooms. They were comped, so I didn't pay, the price here. I did have to pay the resort fee, but I have the M Life credit card and then the Caesars credit card, and I use those points to pay for those resort fees. So that's how I do it. So if you want to do that, sign up for those credit cards, but make sure you pay off your credit cards at the end of each month. So now let's get to the final score and see if the difference in pricing is worth it. I don't know. So the final score for Mirage was 81. And I knew this was going to be a tight race. The Planet Hollywood come in at 82. So what are my thoughts around that? Well, I agree with it. I love Planet Hollywood. This was my fourth time I think I've stayed there. I love their room. Their room is what does it for me. Their bathroom and the refrigerator, the location. It all hits my buckets, right? So, but as I go to Vegas, this trip here at Planet Hollywood, the service that you receive or lack of service that I received upon check-in, and then there's no one to talk to check out either, put a sour taste in my mouth on Planet Hollywood. So it really hurt their score. Had they not scored, 5 or 7 there, or whatever they scored, they would have been, 85, 86 easy. But they didn't. They didn't provide service. And in this world, I think service is something that you expect and need when you're on vacation. Especially the first thing you do at a hotel is check in. It needs to be a good experience. It sets the stage for your whole trip, right? So if I was to do it again, I think I would pick Mirage because of the fact that it's closer to the north end of the strip, and the north end of the strip I think is gonna boom here with the Resort World. And then I found myself going to the Wynn. I think I went to the Wynn 2 of the nights that I stayed at Mirage because I'm usually not up there, and I've always gone to the Wynn, but never at night. It's usually like a day trip. But anyway, that north end of the strip is going to be amazing. People are going to see the Venetian, the Palazzo, the Wynn, and then the Resort World, and I'm sure there'll be new ones built, right? The north end of the strip is really going to be booming, I think. So yeah, while Planet Hollywood won at 82, the service put a sour taste in my mouth. So I hope you like this video, and I hope you learn from it. And yeah, hope you stick around and watch more videos. I got more coming, 2 more from this trip at least. I'm working on them now, and I can't wait to share those with you. And until next time, see you later.